have Alakda? Okay. How should one deal with all the projections, opinions people have on us? How should one deal with all the projections, opinions people have on us?
I'll repeat it anyways. So, how should one deal with the opinion, views, projections, everything of people? One simple word is ignore it completely. If one gives any importance to the opinion of others, actually, what mother says is one is not yet ready for the spiritual life. And there is a logic behind it. It's the logic is that human opinions are full of ignorance, partly because people see only on the surface. And even on the surface, they see a very small section, they don't see the totality. So basically, we have to understand that this is that person's viewpoint based on whatever the person is seeing. What matters is the opinion of truth, and truth doesn't have opinion. That's the beauty. Mother says that. So, truth doesn't have opinion means it is just dynamically bringing itself out. That's all. So, people who have opinions, they have a right to their opinion, no doubt about it. We don't need to correct or change anybody's opinion, because when we try to do that, it means somewhere that I am accepting or I want to be look good in the eyes of others. If I am good within me, I don't need to look good in the eyes of others. And if I am not good, any amount of trying to look good will make no difference. All that should matter is what the Divine Mother sees me as. And she doesn't have opinions, she just keeps changing us. So ignore it completely. Completely. If one wants to lead a spiritual life, completely. Yes.
That actually gives a follow up question. How do we know what the Divine Mother knows of us?
How do we know what the Divine Mother knows of us is not required. Also, because, see, when we say what we are today, we are fixing ourselves in a moment of time. Now, supposing I'm just giving a hypothetical situation. The Divine Mother knows that I'm a very good guy. So what happens? I stop progressing. And equally, if the Divine Mother knows, oh, he is a horrible fellow, that's not how the Divine operates. Till we arrive at whatever Divine Mother wants me to be. In fact, I should not be thinking about myself. The whole crux of sadhana is to forget oneself. What one is, what one looks, what people think of me, what the Divine thinks of me, if at all. That's not important. What we can become, that's how Sri Aurobindo says, that what a man is not important, but what he can become by his aspiration, by his faith. So the only thing we should look inside ourselves is my aspiration and my faith. That's where I will reach. So we have to see what my aspiration is and what my faith is. That's how the Gita puts it. Man is his faith. Shraddhamayo. So if my faith is that one day one will be divinized, you will end up with that. That's all matters. It's like when you're sitting in a train. So where you will reach, where you have taken the ticket for. Everybody starts, but some people will get down here, some will get down there, because they have in their heart another destination. So very beautifully, line in Savitri where Sri Aurobindo says, the events that meet thee on the road, which includes all these things, what people think, don't think, and though they smite thy body and soul with joy and grief, are not thy fate. They touch thee a while and pass. So what is our fate? He says, the road, the goal thou choosest are thy fate. So all that matters is the aspiration and the faith. That is the whole journey, crux of the journey. I may live in the ashram all my life. People may say, oh, he has renounced and living in the ashram. But my faith may be, thank God I am here in a comfort zone. That's it. That doesn't matter. It's what your faith and aspiration is.
Beautiful. So the next question that I have here is how to practice gratitude on a daily basis and be humble and grounded when you have so many criticisms and also appreciations coming along with.
How to practice gratitude? Well, criticism association, just don't pay any attention to what people say, including praise. Because it's easy to ignore criticism, but when praise comes, I am somebody. No, everything belongs to the mother. See, people who are moved by public opinion, they stop progressing because get, they get into a mock fight to prove themselves, or they get into that mock idea that I am someone or something. No, it's only up to the Divine Mother, this one part. So stay grounded means that to be always rooted in the Divine Mother is to stay grounded. And she is everywhere and in everything. It is to stay grounded. And the other part that, what was that? First part of the question is?
How can one practice gratitude on a
Yes,
daily
so
basis?
gratitude. Actually, I don't know if there is any other thing in life one should feel for right from morning. Wake up in the morning, you have a chance, another day, wonderful day. So that it starts from there, that gratitude. So whole day, and at the end of the day, that you had a day, at least some good things one has gone through, little more aspiration, little more faith, little more consecration, some urge for progress, gratitude. And if you really look deeper, every breath is a gratitude. Human life is a gratitude. That you see what it means being here today. We have been pulled out of inconscient, that little chinna spark which entered into inconscient has been pulled out by the grace and reached here. Just imagine. So, if you look at our life, we don't have to have material things for gratitude. The very fact that from that state we have been pulled right up to this level where we can aspire, where we can seek, where we feel the divine touch somewhere in whatever vague way, is enough to fill the heart with gratitude. And then to keep on moving, because there is no end to the discoveries, no end to the disclosures, no end to the divine journey. That itself.
There is actually a connected question to this gratitude when you're answering this. I just thought maybe I'll add this. Mostly life situations, though we mentally know that what we are wanting is not granted to us, as it might not be a fit for our path or our sadhana or our growth. But we still linger, we still want it. And when we are saying gratitude here, okay, every bit is so beautiful, it's a mother's blessings and all that. But what if for those people who think things are not working their way? So there they don't find it as a gratitude. And how does we know that this lingering and longing that we have has this psychic touch, or is it a vital thing, or how do we distinguish that?
So things not going our way is a big grace, if you ask me. So the only way is to have faith that whatever the Divine Mother does, behind all the events, see this very logically, that's how I used to see at one point of time, that if there is a divine in life, if there is a divine wisdom, let me start with an if, then I must trust that divine wisdom. It's taking me through various routes which I may not understand today, but I must trust that divine wisdom. If there is no divine wisdom in life, then nothing carries any meaning or any sense. So the moment I have to make a choice, decisive choice, do I trust that there is a divine wisdom in life behind all the anomalies of life? Then I have to understand that divine wisdom is much, much vaster. That's where humility comes in. Much, much vaster than my little plans, my little, things. And then when you see the magnitude of the journey, where is the time to cry for, spilt milk and chocolates lost on the way? Imagine, you are going to the ashram to go down at the samadhi, and as you get down at now things are better. You Pondicherry bus stand, supposing now people come anyways by flight. So somebody starts arguing with you. I will take 40 rupees and I will take 100 rupees, and at the gate, I'll give you one example of this. So as I was coming out of the ashram, then there was a man arguing with the person who was there at the gate. So argument was that he said, I mean, his logic was, I put on flight mode. The other person was pretty rude. People are very rude. Sometimes they think because I am near God, I am Jai Vijay story they have not heard. Problem is that you know about Jai Vijay story, no? Being near the divine, you should be even more humble. But some people develop all kinds of. It's very difficult to stay near the divine and be grounded, because you start feeling you are somebody very special. People also make you, oh, ashramite, thank you. So, we are all regular people. It doesn't make anybody special. Okay. So, anyways, it can easily get into the head. So, this man was arguing, and the other man is also arguing. So, I can't explain to somebody who is, in the ashram. So, I took hold of this man and brought him aside. I said, why have you come? He said, I came to do Samadhi Darshan. I said, go and do it. No, he's saying that, your phone has to be completely. I said, why are you arguing over this? Your purpose is to go there. How does it matter even if he keeps your phone? There are places where people keep your phone. Like if you go to Swaminarayan temple, it's so, 2 hours you are off your phone. You only hope that you will get the right phone back. So, same thing with Matri Mandir. They keep your phone. So, it's okay. Whatever be the logic or illogic of it is not important, relevant. If my goal is to reach the Samadhi, even if they say take off your dress, I will do it. So, one should be very clear about the goal. And I think all these problems come when we don't have a clarity about that. So, if that is my goal, why should I argue? Why should I get, oh, there is a dog barking on the street? Why should I get into a tiff with this person, that person? I just have to reach there. So one should be very clear. World is what it is. It will go at its own pace. There is a very interesting image in the Upanishad. It touches me very deeply, so I'm sharing. It says, what should be your concentration like? So it gives an image like an arrow shot in the target. And now you see that image. It looks very simple. Oh, arrow shot in the target, obviously. No. When an arrow hits the target, the tail quivers for some time. But what happens? Arrow keeps itself in the target, and after some time this will stop. That should be our approach. Like an arrow in the target, we must just put ourselves in the Divine Mother. Life will create quiverings and disturbances. Don't take off the attention from there. And all this will cease. So it's a question of what we value most. And spiritual life is about that. Actually, all life is about that. Whatever we value most, ultimately that's where we will arrive.
The second part of the question is, how do we know whether it's a psychic thing? So when we are holding on to something, when you're lingering on to something, how do we know whether it's a psychic influence or whether we're being influenced by white?
How do we know whether it's psychic? Always it brings peace, joy, no restlessness, trust, faith. Psychic has that quality. It's like a baby who knows that mother is holding. There is no restlessness, anxiety, fear vanishes. Psychic is always full of peace and joy. There are many other things which psychic brings: a sense of inner sweetness, love for all creatures, and of course, a blind faith, if I may use the word, in the Divine Mother. Spontaneous knowledge, but even if we leave aside that spontaneous knowledge part, intuitive sense, if we are at peace deep within, it brings, as Mother says, a sense of peace and ease, quietude in the vital, broadness in the mental, health in the physical, sweetness and love in the emotional being. If it is there, that means it is the psychic at play. Nothing else is required. It is the number one remedy for most of the problems.
Sounds easy though. Sounds easy though.
Okay, that part, let me take it as a question. Sounds easy. Nothing in this world is easy. I agree. And nothing worthwhile, you see, if you want to climb the Himalayas, one should be clear. It's a climb. Otherwise, be satisfied with watching people. I have seen the Himalayas. What? There was a presentation, PowerPoint presentation. It's very different from walking to the Himalayas. I mean, our friend Shankar is here, who also was in Leh Ladakh. First time when I landed, I thought people had told me, all this breathing trouble may come up. Young man, what is there? Air Force. I got down, picked up. I said, I'm feeling very nice. Picked up the suitcase and started walking. Oh, people speak all these things, but nothing happens. By the time I took a few steps, I was getting breathless. So I put my suitcase. Luckily, by then I reached the phone booth, which was nearby, and just told my senior that, sir, I am on duty here. He said, just sit, because he got it that I am breathless. So it's very fine to see wonderful pictures of Leh Ladakh and the glacier further, but very different from taking a walk. So one has to decide. That's where the religion and spiritual thing comes in. That and that's why courage is required. Courage, heroism, these are qualities required for the path. Mother says that faith and courage are two qualities that will save us, even if everything is lost. So without that, we cannot walk one step on the path. Anything can happen any point of time. One takes that danger and the risk. With the wind and the weather beating around me, up to the hill and the moorland I go. Who shall come with me? Who shall walk with me? Wade through the brook and climb through the snow. Then there is a joy, delight in that. So dangers bring their own delight. That's an experience for which we came upon earth. So the spirit of heroism and adventure is important in this yoga. Actually, in any yoga, and Mother says, I'm inviting you to a great adventure. If you want comfort, then little Den is there. It is difficult. Nothing in life is difficult. And the most difficult is being a wife. Mother's words, okay? Not mine. She says you have to be a yogi to be a good wife. Is as difficult as. So I'm not putting myself, it's very difficult. Bringing up a child is very difficult. So if everything is difficult, might as well try the most difficult thing. It is difficult, but worth doing. Easy things are not worth doing. Once in one of the places, Auroville meeting, someone said it's very difficult, Auroville is very difficult. Then somebody said something very interesting. He said, that's why it's worth trying. It's an outlook. What is the use of doing easy things? If one has one, even if you take one life, one has to do something. Even the attempt for something which is truly worthwhile, even the effort is fantastic. Yeah.
Beautiful. How one can understand the development of soul and withdrawing inwardly or pulling inwardly?
One doesn't need to see understanding as its own plus and minus. Understanding what the soul is. Understanding the big problem is mind forms concepts. It creates certain images, ideas, because we associate all these terms with something. So, for example, going within also becomes I have to go within like that. So it may be all right at one stage, but there's a Hindi word lalak. The thirst should be, I want to know what it is. I want to not just experience it because that's my true being. I must become one with it. And then as it comes, you will know. Like it's not a fixed format in which the soul will reveal itself or one will fuse into it that, people read Savitri and say, oh, that's how I'll see a golden serpent. And no, it may come to somebody as a flame or as a godhead, as a bird which is emerging from the waters, cosmic waters or the world waters. In many ways it will come like a little child. It doesn't matter. But the wish, not even the soul, the divine soul will automatically come. You seek the divine, soul will step in, sir. Wait, I have the key. You want to go to the temple door, first you will meet the person at the gate. Key is with me. So soul will be there if you seek the divine. And divine should become a need of a life. It's like that's what is required. And then each one will have his own beautiful journey and experience. There are markers. It helps to know. It also doesn't help to know because sometimes we start looking for things. Some people get very impatient. No, it's a joy to seek the divine. He will reveal himself in his own way, in his own time. And he enjoys variety. That's why this universe is created. The way the divine will reveal himself to somebody else will not be the same as the way he'll reveal himself to me. He doesn't play the game of monotony. That's his delight and joy. And we should allow that. Who was closer to Rama? Bharat, Lakshman, Shatrughan, Hanuman, Angad. To each one, he comes differently. So we should allow the divine that freedom to catch us in his own way. But we should seek. That's all that is required. And the fact is, the mind can never know with certainty till one actually is face to face with that inner Amarnath. So, inner going inside will come automatically. It's like you are seeking, that seeking will pull inside. That's why the mother speaks of spontaneous meditation. There is also this reference in mystic literature. There is a, Kabir says, for example, Sadho Sahaja Samadhi Bhali. And then he says something very interesting. Jo bolun so ved kahawa, jahan pag dharun so tirath. What I speak is Veda. Where I step, put my feet, it becomes a holy place. So basically it is that inner seeking which will pull us. But if we try to do it technically, then the moment we sit and start going inside, all the bhut pret will come up. Sometimes it's better to open the eyes and look at mother's picture and quietly, silently concentrate than try to go inside. The seeking will pull you. See, it's like a person who is filled with love. That's why when in this journey we were talking about difficulties, dangers, all that is true, but grace is there. So what happens with such a person? Everywhere he is seeing his beloved. Everywhere his voice is thinking, oh, maybe. So that should be the state where from every side the divine comes. Inside, outside, and he will pull us in. We should seek and seek with sincerity and intensity. That's all. But intensity, not egoistic intensity, but the intensity that grows naturally as a result of seeking. The rest will follow. It's not a technique, it's not a mechanism, it's not a process. It's simply an act of love. It's seeking and seeking with faith, and the rest will follow.
The next one is Swabhava and Dharma. If I can take one of your examples that you recently mentioned, which connects to this. So you said you prefer solitude, but then you're yeah. I'm sorry.
No, my life is public. There is no problem. My life, phone number, everything is public. So I've given up on anything private.
So
and they should not be. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So your swabhava is that, but then if I just use to understand the thing, your profession is to meet with people, talk, and then share, right? So there is this conflict that most of the people feel. Not everybody is lucky to have, if I can say, work-life balance kind of a thing, or wherein they can follow their swabhava and then the dharma also follow. So what is that? How can one?
Okay. So first we must understand swabhava and swadharma. And okay, I'll start with this context. My wish is that I love solitude. That is there. But my swabhava is to be helpful. So if you have a helpful and a kind of generous nature, you are endowed with it, then God will put you everywhere. So Swabhava, basically Swabhava and Swadharma is, see, it is the divine impulsion, expression in the lower nature of his manifest. Because in the lower nature we are not connected apparently except through the Swabhava and Swadharma. So as a child, since you mentioned, I can give you an example. Yes, my best moments are when I am left alone, and there's nothing better than. But at 5 year old of age, just sharing something personal because of that nature, the way you formulated the question, and because it makes it more authentic. So at 5, somebody asked me, "What do you want to do?" So I said, "I want to fight for the gods in the Devasur Sangram." Now that was my swabhava, and I said something else also, which I'm not going to share. so, so I would even question, anybody whom wherever I saw hypocrisy, if two ladies are discussing about their bahu or something, I used to say, "What is this nonsense?" 7 year old, I remember. Why are you discussing in such a depreciatory way about? And my mother had to tell me, "No, no, 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 keep no, no. I don't know what he's blabbering." She knew what I was saying. To some Guruji who is coming for a talk, I'll ask questions. He'll say, "This you have not trained your child properly. He's asking too many questions." For the Upanayan Sanskar, I said, "You are asking me to take a vow of truthfulness, but I am afraid I cannot take it because I cannot guarantee that I'll always speak the truth." So that was the Swabhava, but over a period of time, it changed. It developed into, other things, but that's different altogether. So Swabhava is the divine's own way of expressing himself within us. And Swadharma comes from that. It is the divine impulsion. The classic example is Bhima. So when war is over and Gandhari says, "Why did you kill my 100 children? At least one you could have left. Haven't you heard Gandhiji?" So, so Bhim says, "Mata, I respect you. But frankly, if you had 200 sons, I would have killed 200 of them." This is his Swadharma. He will not accept anything less when it comes to, justice. So that's his Swadharma. But Yudhishthir's Swadharma is very different. Both have their own way of being. It's not like one has to follow the other. Always there will be conflict with the outside world. We have wonderfully the example of Sri Krishna himself. On the battlefield, Bhuri Shrava, if you read the Mahabharata, you won't like to hear what Bhuri Shrava is saying to Krishna. Shishupal, okay, you can ignore, that fellow is crazy, but Bhuri Shrava is supposed to be a virtuous king, a king from the lineage of Rama, Brihad Bal. He is with the Kauravas because he says, "I don't believe in." Did Krishna deter from his path? No. Even till date, people call him whatever they want to call him, but Krishna is Krishna. So one should take example from those who have gone this way, that one should always have the courage to stand by your own inner truth. And I think if we cannot do that, then rest is big words. Human beings should have the courage to stand by their own truth. So you can say in simple terms, Swabhava is your own truth where divine is expressing in a certain sense to you, through you. And for each one it's different. It ought to be different because divine loves variety. He doesn't like one kind of mango.
The next one that we have is exchange of energies.
Ah.
So when people meet, there is a lot of interaction happening. There is an exchange of energies that happens. So how can one balance or keep that balance in ourselves and then no, don't get exhausted and
So in Savitri, how to balance in a world as you go, there is an interchange going on of energies. And there is also in our, the line is same as what is written in the our Upanishadic literature. And it is, I'll say in Hindi and then it says, "Eke sadhe, sab sadhe, sab sadhe ek na hoy." You stay with that one, and everything else will fall in its place. And this is something I have seen in my life and seen in people's life. Often people say, "Oh, what may happen?" I said, "You keep turning to the mother, everything will reach there where it is meant to reach in the eyes of truth. That's it. You don't try to manipulate, don't try to do that. And let me put it like that, supposing there is somebody stuck in your life or you're stuck with someone, you don't worry about that external aspect. You keep on focusing on the mother and even toward the person, how you can be in terms of, the person is mother's child. And over a period of time, you will see that she will pull us through everything, help us progress through everything, and each one will reach their own place and in a very beautiful, harmonious way. So while we go through the world, as it is described, be like a boat which is plying on the river. So boat is plying on the water, right? But water is not in the boat. That is the secret. Go through life, everything. This idea of shunning, this, that is a very elementary state, maybe required at some point. Go through life, but always remain connected with the one divine mother. The rest will be taken care of. Eke sadhe. Stay with that one. Prahlad story, everywhere it is the divine mother. I may not like somebody's appearance, somebody may not like my appearance, it's okay. But to see the divine mother in everyone and everything is the secret. Because she is there in everyone and everything.
What is self realization and how to move forward?
Okay, so that's a very big question at one level. At one level, it's the simplest of answer. So the simplest answer is that behind all this ever-changing universe, there is a stable basis. Where is this dance taking place? Where is space and time expanding? What is it that is supporting the movement of time? One can go on and on. It's to discover that stable basis of this creation, that is the self, with a capital S. It is the source, it is also my own source. So we can equally say it's my true self. But since it is the source, it is the same self in everyone, behind all the apparent differences. So self realization fundamentally means that. But the problem is, though the self is one, it has many, many aspects. To start with, there is a kind of experience where one can just experience a vast impersonal state of peace in which nothing stirs. So many people, that's very liberating. One would normally say it is the self realization, but as Sri Aurobindo says, there is a dynamic side of the self, which is not just peace, but ananda supported by peace within. That is the Shakti aspect of the self, dynamic aspect, Ishvara and Shakti. There is the aspect of the self within me, my true self, the true individual, the psychic being. But there is also the universal self, which is one in all these things. And each of these realizations has its own meaning. I may discover my true self within me as the psychic being or the divine presence within. But very soon through this door, I must enter into the universal realization so that everywhere I see the same divine presence. But also, one should know there is something which goes beyond all this manifested universe, something which is inconceivable, something which is beyond everything that one can imagine in this universe. So, that is also self. And then our yogis went still further. So, there is no end because self is one, but it is infinite. So, it has many aspects. So, the Gita uses the word samagram mam, in all its potentialities, in all its manifestation. So it includes a whole lot of terms. But basically, it is to discover the truth. Basically, the truth which is something which doesn't change, which is not subject to change, which is immutable. My body will change, my thoughts will change, my feelings will change, whole world will change, but it was, it is, and will always be there. That is self realization, and it's not an intellectual process. It is a state where it overpowers everything. And once you have it for that, during that period, could be hours or days, everything starts becoming very distant and it can even disappear as if it's a non-existent. And then, yes, depending on what you want to do with it or what the self intends to do with you, it will be given back to you. But you are a changed person after that. You can no more be the same person because you have seen a moment the curtain is drawn and you have seen a great secret. And it can come very strangely. It's not like one is sitting in meditation and woke up with a self realization. That may be, but it can be while you're driving a scooter, while you're walking on the busy road. Divine comes unannounced, his problem. Or he doesn't, he has a sense of humor. And everything pauses. It's like your life touches a pause button. So many things I'm holding back because it's a realm of experience, but very, very powerful it is. So different.
Uh, we've been getting so many questions. Please, we already have a multiple number of questions which has been sent to us earlier. So we'll try to accommodate each and every question. But I'm also saying not sure if I can go through because I already have like 4 sheets along with 20 odd questions that we already have. So considering the time and Alok does, we'll also give him a bit of a this thing. So we'll try
I have
to
no
cover.
issues, but I'll be little short. I have no issues. This is a joy. Satsang is joy. Yes.
The next question we have here is Alok Das. What is the difference between a mental bhakti and a psychic bhakti?
Oh, that's wonderful. That's a beautiful, practical question. So it's not only there is a mental bhakti, there is a vital bhakti. There is also a physical bhakti. And there is the psychic bhakti. So mental bhakti proceeds on the basis of proofs. Ah, mother did this, there was a miracle. So lovely. But the day the greatest miracle happens, which means divine snatches away what you loved. I don't know. People say, mother is there. She was there for me. Now she has turned her face away. No. Now she has taken you seriously. So mental bhakti is based on proof. And the divine in the beginning plays this game, proof game. If we have a mental bhakti. After some time, we say, now let's grow up. Don't be a child. So mental bhakti is also a kind of seeking for knowledge, though it begins to change towards the psychic. Then there is vital bhakti, which is based on demands and desires. Artharthi. And there is physical bhakti where we are just mechanically doing everything, like doing the puja and all the rituals, whatever is proscribed and prescribed. But psychic bhakti has only one thing, to give oneself more and more to the divine. Anywhere and everywhere, it just wants to find the divine and it gives itself with no conditions, no strings, no need of anything. It takes the joy of giving. Like when Tulsi Das was asked, why are you praying to Rama? Krishna is greater. You know that? Yes, come later. Rama has 12 gun and Krishna has 16. He says, all right. But I am in love with Rama. That's it. So there is a famous saying. Somebody took him to the temple where Krishna's statue is there. He says, I have a problem. And he is very beautifully described in one of his songs. He says, Kaha kahun chhabi aapki bhale birajo nath. He says, I know you're very wonderful and sweet and everything. Madhuram. Par tulsi mastak tabnave dhanush bandlo hath. And as the story goes, he took the form of Rama. So that bhakti is like, it just wants to give. It doesn't calculate what you will get from the mother. It's not like a contract one signs. Mother, what will you give me? Are you confirming transformation? Or at least liberation? Acha, forget liberation, transformation. At least you will look after my children after I depart. That's not bhakti. Bhakti at its root, the word bhakti comes from the root bhaja. So you have a phrase in the Isha Upanishad, Tena tak tena bhunji tha. Bhaja, bhunja, it's about joy. Bhakti is to take joy. If you take joy in the divine, it means the divine is also taking joy in you. That's bhakti. Nothing else. There is no external manifestation. But you're taking joy in the name of the Lord, in anything of the Lord. That is bhakti. You're not earning merit or confirming booking a seat in heaven or wherever else. Bhakti gives ki, okay, Bhakta doesn't care whether he'll put you in Vaikuntha or somewhere else. He will say, you want to put me in the gutter to clean it, I'll go there. That's bhakti, psychic bhakti. That brings results.
So beautiful. Wish we all can be in that psychic bhakti every second, every moment. Why is the language of I request, I don't know who has sent this question, but if you can give me a clarity on this. Why is the language of yogic sadhana so different from other
I
works of
understand.
okay. So from other works of Sri Aurobindo.
So yogic sadhana actually, it's part of one of the automatic writings that he received. Sri Aurobindo himself mentioned later on that this is not to be taken as my yoga. So this he used to get many of these beings of those who have gone past, yogis, beings, and they would come and he would just let them deep within. He was integrating all of them, absorbing them within himself, and he would write. For example, yogic sadhan, which you're mentioning, it says the right way is to start with will, Shakti, Kali, and if you read that, it is like knowledge, no, start with the will, Kali. There is one of the writings of Sri Aurobindo, Tantra Siddhi Prakranam. It's not published. I think the only one which is not published. He says, forget about right, wrong, everything. Kali, give yourself to Kali. Now, he has written that in that state. So, this, as far as I remember, was Raja Ram Mohan Roy because he used to appear all through this writing. So it's a language not actually of originally Sri Aurobindo, and he himself said that it's not to be taken as my writings. So that's the key bit. So the language is bound to be different. It's not he who is saying. If you go through Records of Yoga now has Yogic Sadhan, it was published as a separate book also. But there are many things in Records of Yoga, portions of automatic writing, which are very different in their flavor, in their content. It's not needed to read. I mean,
There is one, maybe a connected question. Most of people think Tantra is black magic. So, what is the difference? What is Tantra? And
so as we were mentioning, Tantra, there are two sides of the divine reality. One is Veda and Vedanta, which is the knowledge aspect, and the other is Tantra, which is the Shakti aspect. So there is the passive aspect, which ultimately people speak about, and there is the dynamic aspect. So the Vedantic approach is this world, I don't care, I don't want to understand it, whether it may be Maya or illusion or what kind of illusion qualified. But ultimately, my whole approach is to go back to the source, be absorbed in it, liberation, whatever. So this Vedantic approach takes us to that. So that's the Vedanta. So obviously this seems quite safe. It is to that extent safe. But the Tantra, yogi of the Tantra says, but I want to understand this creation. How this has come into being. What are the forces which are behind it? So Tantra took that approach of the nature. What is nature? It's easy to say it's Maya, it is Prakriti. But what is this Prakriti? Where is it getting its impulsion from? In Vedanta, Prakriti is described in very simple way. Trigunatmak Prakriti, and Shri Krishna speaks of going beyond it. But then what is its connection, if any? Who impels the Trigunatmak Prakriti? Now Shri Krishna almost unlocks the secret. But that apart, the traditional Vedanta still at the end, even if it unlocks the secret, it says that, well, Prakriti, Shakti, they will help you, but ultimately to go to the liberation. But Tantra leans on this idea that this behind this nature, all this that has come up, there is a power which is conscious force. It's not just jada. It's not just mechanical. There is within it a conscious force which is operating. And Tantra goes on to ultimately, I'm just cutting a long, because it's a very fascinating subject, to that highest source where the Ishvara and the Shakti are one. Okay. So, but that one Shakti and Ishvara at the next level, at the cosmic level, appears as Brahman, the stable basis, and Maya, which gives forms. So, Maya gives forms, Maya, Mata, Matra, measure, it means that. And then at the still lower level, it becomes Purusha and Prakriti. So, this is how. Now, in that Tantra, because it says the entire nature it's exploring. So, what is there in nature? Everything is there in nature. Can we only say nature is when I have beautiful thoughts? Nature is also dark thoughts, ugly thoughts. Nature is also movements which are traditionally, considered dangerous. So Tantra said, everywhere I must discover God or that Shakti. So Tantra took two routes. One was the right hand path, which proceeded on the basis of knowledge, Ananda through knowledge. So it says, no, there are things I will not touch. But the Vam Marg, Sri Aurobindo says bold but premature. He doesn't call it bad. Bold but premature, because first you must have the knowledge. It says no. Why? Even in things which are considered as a taboo, the five Mas, Madira, Meena, Maithuna, all these things which are considered as a taboo, God must be there also. Logically correct. So they went and explored, but it's like you are entering into very slippery slope. Now, in that process, they discovered many forces and powers which are behind the visible appearances. Now, if the person, because all these paths require a great degree of purification, but supposing now you discover things, you are not a fit adhikari, that's why the guru and all this is required. So you may start getting hold of certain forces which you don't hold, but they hold you. And then the ego may start playing if there is lack of purity. For example, you must have seen there are cities where people know what's going on in your mind and they say, now, it is known in Tantra as a Karna Pishachini Vidya. Now, Karna Pishachini is one of those entities which will come and whisper. Now, most of them are very dark, but some of them are nice. So, various kinds of forces, beings will come, and any time you can be toppled, because power is power, after all, very different from knowledge. That's why many people didn't touch Tantra. And this power has two sides, the dark power and the what is called as black magic and the white magic. Now let me put it very simply. Very simply, everything in nature at some level is power. Thoughts have a power? Yes. So now, if I have bad will towards somebody, a very practical example of what is black magic and white magic, and I consciously direct an ill will, or somebody has bad thoughts and consciously direct this ill will, and he uses certain other means. There are material objects which can be used as a means to transmit these forces, and sometimes a material contact. So, somebody's dress or some other piece which is used as a means to influence, then it becomes a black magic or a dark magic. But equally, more importantly, there is white magic. White magic is where you consciously direct. We are practicing it all the time. That's why mother says never have ill will towards anyone. It is harming. And whereas when we have a consciously directed goodwill, thoughts which are positive and beautiful, now if we connect these thoughts sometimes through an object, you pick up and give something that, look here, this is like mother's blessing packets, which are consciously charged. So then it becomes what can be called as the white tantra. White magic, black magic is more of the modern alchemist, or rather the Western literature. So that's what tantra is. It's about the energies of nature, and all these energies, ultimately everything has to find its origin in the one source. That's what the Vedantin missed. He said this is Maya, but what is Maya emerged from? It doesn't say. Sankhya tries to explain Prakriti as the Purusha, intelligence reflected into the Purusha. That's the Purusha's consciousness reflected into Prakriti. And therefore it becomes conscious, but it has no consciousness of its own. But how is the Prakriti got the origin? It doesn't explain. So Tantra explains this entire dynamics. To cut a long story short, there are longer talks on this subject very fast. In Sri Aurobindo's yoga, there is both. But he says Tantra on the basis of Vedanta. First, knowledge. Because power without knowledge is dangerous. So, first, knowledge, which means knowledge of the one self, the one divine. And then the power, which is completely surrendered to the Divine Mother, and then what she wants through you or anyone, that she will fulfill. Then there is no more personal will. So in Mother's yoga, it works like that. She can use anybody who is surrendered as an instrument to fulfill her purposes. So this in very brief, very, very brief. Yeah.
Beautiful. One question which I think most of us get stuck is a family. So the Shivali was asking also, right? The family, and then how we can, the ties that we are tied into, and then how to ease ourselves.
So the question initially was family life, and so let me first answer that, because that is important. That when we come and work at the center, things are different. Then we go back, we have a family. So let me say this today as a kind of prophecy. The future of collective living is communes. Sri Aurobindo speaks of that in the Life Divine. So it will be like, you see, which is the truer family, if one has to ask, honestly in the heart. The family where you are physically associating, family of birth, family of common interest, or family of seekers. Answer is obvious. So this is about that life will do it, and it is doing it. So we will see in times to come that the traditional hard rigid mold of family will be broken. You will have a wider, more plastic understanding of family, where there will be a lot more freedom, space, and eventually commune living, which is what spiritualized society is about. These experiments have been started. Mother speaks of it in one of her conversations, where she speaks about Gnostic community. But first, we have to grow as Gnostic individuals. That is the right now going on. But ultimately, it will be Gnostic community. Their harmony will be spontaneous. See, basis of harmony cannot be adjustment and accommodation. It cannot be that, okay, I'll listen to you. Then whoever is stronger vitally will bulldoze. That cannot be harmony. That is suppression, that is acceptance, tolerance, whatever it be, submission to all kinds of things. The only basis for harmony is truth. The Divine Mother that we read in the morning, that those lines which Archana read after while sitting here. All here shall be one day her sweetness is home. All contraries prepare her harmony. Towards her our knowledge climbs, our passion gropes. In her miraculous rapture we shall dwell. Our self shall be one self with all through her. So till then, harmony is a big word. Only harmonium is there and Besura. Because everybody is playing his own raga. And everybody is claiming, I know harmonium. But what is happening is a cacophony. So carry on with individual sadhana. Harmony will come when the divine knows time is ready. You may discover your own harmony with the world. But to take it that suddenly beings will grow into harmony, ego and harmony don't go together. Desire and harmony don't go together. So mankind has a long way to go. So the only basis is when we discover the divine presence in all, like the Yagnavalk story. So when a person says, my wife is not for my own sake, but for the sake of the self or the divine, then harmony will be spontaneous, and vice versa. Because then you are not wanting something from her for your sake. You want your helping her grow toward that, and she is helping you in that journey toward that beautiful, great goal. But if that center is different, that's why mother spoke of the marriage with the fire of aspiration at the center. And then to condition walking together at the same pace toward the same goal. So, till then, many of these traditional models will break. We may not like it, but that's part of the plan. So, we can be at harmony within ourselves and with the world around. That's possible. And only basis is discovering the Divine Mother in yourself and in everyone. There was a group of people.
He was worried. So the Guru says that, I will, make mother all right. But he gets puzzled that she is the Adishakti. How he can...
Okay, so that question is, I'll just take that, then we'll go back to, because there is a list of questions, so we can't. But this is an interesting question. So the question is not only with regard to the Tantric Guru trying and helping mother, many places. So let me go back to the age of Ramayana. So the story is that, when, because we have these things, understanding is there in our literature. So Rama and Lakshman are in Nagpash. So Hanumanji goes and says, Garuda, please come. He says, what do you mean? So, because he is very annoyed, because Lord Vishnu has not taken him, so he's not sure. So anyways, he comes after a little bit of cajoling. When he comes and says, and everybody is saying, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. He says, what are these people saying? They are calling me to cut the Nagpash. And when he finishes the whole thing, all the monkeys shout, Jai Shri Ram. Garuda says, mad people. I am the one who has liberated Ram. He says, Hanumanji, you are a wise man. Why don't you explain to these monkeys? He says, actually, you know what, Garuda? They are wise. You go back. Your job is done. So Garuda goes, but his question is going on in his mind. So he goes to Brahma Ji, he goes to Shivji and everybody, and they all tell him, you know what? You are deluded right now. So this where we have to understand the beauty of the earthly Leela of the Lord. There is a sentence in the mother, partly she wails and partly unveils. The mother is not all above, she has descended here. And in that, she calls around her people who apparently seem to be helping her. That is also part of the Leela, which Garuda understands later. Because here this grouse, that Vishnu Bhagavan has gone himself, taken his Sudarshan Chakra, taken his Shankha or Sangha Chakra Gada Padma, but left me behind. So he said, okay, you come, do something, contribute. So that's the story. Mother would not say all these things. Even Rama didn't say all these things. But that is the mystic vision, that in that Leela on earth, there were many people who seemed to help her at another level. When she needed money, Ganesha helped her, or Udarda went with that 1 paisa, 1 rupee that she gave, and he got a lot of money. So that is the part of the Leela where to her they are not, he is a tantric and I am the mother. She is the mother, even in him she is herself. So she is using all these means. And that tantric story is of course a very long story, but that's the essence. Everywhere you will find. Yes.
When we take Gurudev's thing, all life is yoga, how do we understand and live upon it?
Okay.